difference between pity and compassion? Have you ever gone to a doctor that didn't like needles? And as he was getting ready, he goes, that's pity. Pity is feeling sorry for somebody else. Oh, you poor dear. You can't hear? Now? Can you hear? No? Now? Okay. Pity is feeling sorry for someone else and making yourself sad because of it. Because you see they're in pain and you try to take their pain and you make yourself suffer. Compassion is seeing another person in pain, allowing them the space to have their own pain, but loving them without condition. You stub your toe. As much as I want to help you overcome that pain in your toe, I can't do it. And making myself sad because you have the pain does not make that pain any less for you. But it does make me unhappy. That's pity. So, I have no idea why I just gave you that definition, but that's okay. Okay, the sutta tonight is the Anupada Sutta. This is one of my favorite suttas because it tells you exactly what you can expect with your meditation. This is called one by one as they occurred. Now, an interesting thing with this particular sutta is before we get going, please do not sit with your legs crossed. Thank you. If your legs are crossed, that means you're hearing about 45% of what's being said. So, the thing with this particular sutta is it has the foundations of mindfulness in each jhana. And that's not something you hear about very often. Most people have the idea that if you're practicing jhana practice, it's only for concentration. And that is not what this practice is about. This is about jhana practice with insight. Thus have I heard on one occasion, the Blessed One was living at Sawati in Jeta's Grove, Anathanpindika's Park. There he addressed the monks thus, monks, Venerable Sir, they replied, the Blessed One said this. Monks, Sariputta is wise. Sariputta has great wisdom. Sariputta has wide wisdom. Sariputta has joyous wisdom. Sariputta has quick wisdom. Sariputta has keen wisdom. Sariputta has penetrative wisdom. All of these different kinds of wisdom are describing how he understands dependent origination and how the links work. During half a month, monks, Sariputta gained insight into states one by one as they occurred. Now, Sariputta's insight into states one by one as they occurred was this. Here, quite secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unwholesome states, Sariputta entered upon and abided in the first jhana, which is accompanied by thinking and examining thought with joy and happiness, born of seclusion. And the states in the first jhana, the thinking, examining thought, the joy, the happiness, and unification of mind. The contact, feeling, perception, formation, and mind. Now, the contact is the same as the body. You can't have contact if you don't have the body. But it talks about contact here because it's for all of the different kinds of jhana. So you have body, you have feeling. Perception always is conjoined with feeling. You have formations, mind objects, and you have consciousness. So that's the four foundations of mindfulness. The five aggregates and the four foundations of mindfulness are a different way of describing the same thing. Okay, you have enthusiasm, decision, energy, mindfulness, equanimity, and attention. These states were defined by him one by one as they occurred. Known to him those states arose, known they were present, known they disappeared. He understood thus, so indeed these states, not having been, come into being, having been, they vanish. Now that's another way of talking about the impermanence of everything. Even while you're in the jhana, things are changing. Regarding those states, he abided unattracted, unrepelled, independent, detached, free, dissociated with a mind rid of barriers. With a mind that's unattracted, you're not holding on to anything. A mind that's unrepelled, you're not pushing anything away, which is a natural thing for an awful lot of meditators. Push away unwholesome states. Try to push away hindrances when they come up. Trying to control things. You have to let go of the want to control. Allow things to be by themselves. When things are independent, that means that there is no taking of anything personally. Everything that arises is part of an impersonal process. So you're taking things impersonally. You're seeing that it's, did you ask this feeling to come up? Did you ask these thoughts to come up? That means they're impersonal then, doesn't it? There's no I, there's no me, there's no myself attached to these things, unless you make them be attached. Okay. And with the mind rid of barriers, it means that while you're in the jhana, you do not have any hindrances arise. When your mindfulness gets weak, then hindrances will arise. While your mindfulness is strong and you're staying with your object of meditation, you don't have hindrances disturbing you. He understood there is an escape beyond this, and with the cultivation of that attainment, he confirmed that there is. Again, with the stilling of thinking and examining thought, Sariputta entered upon and abided in the second jhana, which has self-confidence, stillness of mind, without thinking and examining thought, with joy and happiness born of collectedness. When you get to the second jhana, you start feeling like you really are starting to progress. You started to feel like, yeah, I'm starting to get it. And you're getting more confident in your staying with your object of meditation. This is when I'm going to tell you to let go of verbalizing the wish. Just bring up the feeling of the wish. This is called the noble silence jhana. So, you no longer need to verbalize in your mind. The joy you experience is stronger. It lasts for longer. It's extreme lightness in your mind and in your body. Feel like you're floating. When the joy fades away, the tranquility that you experience is quite a bit stronger. And you feel more comfortable in your mind and in your body. It's like the pains don't arise so much anymore. And the states in the second jhana, the self-confidence, the joy, the happiness, the unification of mind, the contact, feeling, perception, formations, and mind. Well, there's the four foundations of mindfulness again, isn't it? While you're in the second jhana, while you're in the jhana. The enthusiasm, decision, energy, mindfulness, equanimity, and attention. These states were defined by him one by one as they occurred. Known to him, those states arose, known they were present, known they disappeared. So you're still seeing impermanence, you're seeing how everything changes, even while you're in the jhana. He understood there's still more to do, and with the cultivation of that attainment, he confirmed that there is. So you know you're starting to progress, but you still got a ways to go. Again, with the fading away of joy, Sariputta abided in equanimity and mindful and fully aware, still feeling happiness with the body. He entered upon and abided in the third jhana, on account of which noble ones announced, he has a pleasant abiding, who has equanimity and is mindful. Now, when you get to the third jhana, you no longer have any joy. Your mind starts to have more balance in it, not so much excitement. You're still going to hear sounds, you're still going to feel things, ants walking on you, flies bothering you one way or another. You're still going to know that these things are there, but they're not going to make your mind shake. Okay? One of the things in Indonesia that is really pretty amazing is the number of motorcycles without mufflers on. They really like loud motorcycles. And we had a place on Bali that was off the main road. I mean, it was a long ways away, but all of the neighbors had these little putt-putts, and they were going down the road, so there would be a lot of sound coming off of that. When you're in the third jhana, you hear the sound, but it doesn't make your mind shake or go to the sound. You don't get caught up in it. It's just there. That's fine. And if someone comes along and they touch you, you know that you've been touched. There is contact. But it doesn't make your mind shake. It doesn't make you start. Okay, so this is a little bit different than other meditations because sounds don't make you upset. And you're not gonna, whenever a sound happens, it's not gonna make you jump. And if somebody touches you, you're gonna know it, but it's not gonna make your mind upset by that. It's just, you know that you've been touched by something. When I was in Burma, the place that I was meditating at was a big room like this, but they had an awful lot of ants. So I got some of this chalk, the Chinese chalk, and put around me so they wouldn't cross the line. But these ants were smart. They went over to the wall, they went up the wall, they went over to the ceiling, and then they were dropped. But when you get to a certain place in the jhana, it doesn't matter whether they drop or not. It's okay. Okay, and the states in the third jhana. Now, another thing that happens when you get to this particular jhana is your mind becomes very peaceful and calm. You're still staying with your spiritual friend, not so many distractions, but you won't feel different places of your body. You won't feel your hands. You won't feel a leg. As you lose tension in your mind, you lose tension in your body, and that's what you feel. So, after a period of time, what happens is the feeling of loving kindness that you've been feeling here disappears and comes up into your head. When that happens, do not push it back down into your heart. Don't do that. Let it stay here. When that happens, that's when I'm going to change your meditation a little bit. And the states in the third jhana, the equanimity, the happiness, the mindfulness, the full awareness, and unification of mind. The contact, feeling, perception, formations in mind. 4 foundations of mindfulness again. The enthusiasm, decision, energy, mindfulness, equanimity, and attention. These states were defined by him one by one as they occurred. Known to him, those states arose, known they were present, known they disappeared. So you're seeing impermanence in each jhana. And what are you seeing as impermanence? The change. You're seeing all kinds of changes. You see enthusiasm, decision, energy, mindfulness. Each one of those is a different thing, and you're seeing how it changes. He understood there's still more to do, and with the cultivation of that attainment, he confirmed that there is. Again, with the abandoning of pleasure and pain, with the previous disappearance of joy and grief, Sariputta entered upon and abided in the 4th jhana, which has neither pain nor pleasure and purity of mindfulness due to equanimity. When you get to the 4th jhana, you no longer feel your body. Okay? Now you're getting into a mental realm. When you get to the 4th jhana, this is when I'm going to tell you now you've become an advanced meditator. When you get to the 4th jhana, you start understanding more and more about this whole process. You start seeing things much more clearly. You're able to stay with your object of meditation for longer periods of time without so many distractions in them. And the states in the 4th jhana, the equanimity, neither painful nor pleasant feeling, the mental unconcern due to tranquility, the purity of mindfulness and unification of mind, the contact, feeling, perception, formations, and mind. There you are again. You still have your 4 foundations of mindfulness while you're in the jhana. When you look at the Sutta, the 4 foundations of mindfulness, an awful lot of people talk about that as being, that's the Vipassana Sutta. And actually that whole sutta is about jhana practice. They talk about the 4 foundations, and they talk about individual foundations, but they don't really have a grasp of what it's actually teaching. Okay, as you get into the 4th jhana, you start having a little bit more fun with your meditation. It starts to be, yeah, this is good. And you see yourself progressing. It's quite nice. Okay, that energy, mindfulness, equanimity, and attention, these states were defined by him one by one as they occurred. So you're seeing all of these different things while you're in each of the jhanas. So you're seeing the impermanence of everything. You're seeing how things change. Known to him, those states arose, known they were present, known they disappeared. He understood there's still more to do, and with the cultivation of that attainment, he confirmed that there is. Now, again, with the complete surmounting of gross perceptions of form, with the disappearance of gross perceptions of sensory impact, aware that space is infinite. Sariputta entered upon and abided in the base of infinite space. Now what happens is up to the fourth jhana, you're staying with the loving kindness meditation. When you start to go deeper, the feeling of loving kindness changes. I'm not going to tell you how, you have to tell me. It changes to a feeling of compassion. And you'll also feel an expansion happening in your head. Just as like space going out, all directions at the same time. That is called infinite space. This is what the Buddha sat in every morning for a couple of hours. He sat in infinite space with compassion. Okay? This is the first immaterial jhana. Immaterial means not physical, no body. I don't want to hear about a body. Okay? Oh, but I have all these feelings coming up in my body. They come up because you're paying attention to them. You're not staying on your object of meditation. You're letting little disturbances come up and you're getting caught by thinking about them and worrying about them, and I've got an itch here and I've got a pain over there, and oh, what's happening? Stay on your object of meditation. You won't have that problem. Okay? Now you're able to stay with your object of meditation for longer periods of time, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, like that. Now, this compassion will arise by itself as you go deeper into the itself. It's a different kind of feeling than loving kindness. That's all I'll tell you. And the states in the base of infinite space with compassion. The perception of the base of infinite space with compassion and the unification of mind. The contact, feeling, perception, formation, and mind. Oh, look at there. Even in the arupa jhanas, you have the four foundations of mindfulness. The enthusiasm, decision, energy, mindfulness, equanimity, and attention, These states were defined by him one by one as they occurred. Known to him those states arose, known they were present, known they disappeared. He understood there's still more to do, and with the cultivation of that attainment, he confirmed that there is. So as you continue going deeper, you stay with your the compassion and radiating to all beings in all directions. And eventually that feeling of compassion will change to a feeling of joy. I don't call it sympathetic joy or altruistic joy, because that's not what the actual experience is. It is an experience of joy. Again, monks, by completely surmounting the base of infinite space, aware that consciousness is infinite, Sariputta entered upon and abided in the base of joy with infinite consciousness. What happens is when you start seeing infinite consciousness, that was roughly 100,000 arising and passing away of hearing consciousness. When you get to this state, you're going to see a lot of little flickering movements at one of the sense doors. And what you're starting to see is individual consciousnesses arise and pass away. Now, there's a thing that is real confusing for an awful lot of people. And that is the idea of reincarnation. The Buddha never taught reincarnation. He taught rebirth. When you get to this state, you're seeing the birth and death of individual consciousnesses happening very quickly. So you're seeing it for yourself. You're seeing rebirth continually happening. And this happens all the time. When you look and you see and you hear me speaking, you think you're hearing and seeing at the same time, but actually you're not. There's birth of sound consciousness and seeing consciousness happening together very fast, but they don't happen at exactly the same time. This is why that the Buddha was teaching us about rebirth, not reincarnation. Reincarnation implies that you have some kind of permanent self or soul that is running around from one lifetime to the next. That's very much Hindu and other religions. They're very similar in a lot of ways. But when you get to be able to see individual consciousnesses arise and pass away, it's like, let's say at the eyes, it's like watching a movie that's going a little bit too slow, and you see a picture and then a blank spot and a picture and a blank spot, only it's happening real fast. But you're starting to see individual consciousnesses because your mind is starting to settle down. and your mind is starting to, your awareness becomes much sharper. So, and the states in the base of joy with infinite consciousness. The perception of the base of joy with infinite consciousness and the unification of mind. The contact, feeling, perception, formation, and mind. The enthusiasm, decision, energy, mindfulness, equanimity, and attention. These states were defined by him one by one as they occurred. Known to him those states arose, known they were present, known they disappeared. So at any one of the sense doors you can see this flickering happening. It can be happening with the body, it can happen with mind. He understood there's still more to do, and with the cultivation of that attainment, he confirmed that there is. Again, by completely surmounting the base of infinite consciousness, aware that there is nothing. Sariputta entered upon and abided in the base of equanimity with nothingness. What happens is the feeling of joy fades away and a very strong feeling of equanimity occurs. And this is where your mind has no excitement in it. And generally speaking, when you come for the interview, I can tell when you're in that state because I can hear it in your voice. There's no excitement. How's your meditation going? Fine. Everything is fine. This is where mind stops looking outside of itself. Okay, when you're at infinite consciousness, the consciousnesses are noticing everything outside of the body now. But when you get to the realm of nothingness, mind, you're starting to watch what's happening in mind. Now this is a very interesting state to be in. You're using your object of meditation is equanimity. But if you try to stay with that equanimity too much, your mind is going to start to get restless. If you don't pay enough attention to your object of meditation, which is the equanimity, your mind is going to start to dull out. So this is where you get to learn how to adjust the amount of energy you're using to stay with your object of meditation. And you might have to adjust 3 or 4 or 5 times in a sitting, because you're putting in a little bit too much energy and you're starting to get restless. You need to back off. Not quite enough energy, you need to add a little bit more, but just tiny bits, little tiny bits. Now, from here on out, this is when the meditation really, really gets interesting. When you get to sitting with equanimity, and you're radiating equanimity, you should be able to stay with that for 20 minutes, 25 minutes like that without any disturbance. And it's real quiet. Your mind becomes very peaceful and calm. Now what's going to happen is you're going to get to a place where the feeling of equanimity disappears. No more. And you'll experience, it's like being asleep and being aware at the same time. Your mind is getting very, very subtle. And it's hard to tell whether there's perception of something or not. When you get to this state, you'll get into a place where it's what I call exquisite quietness. You'll be able to sit for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour and a half without any disturbance in your mind at all. No movement of mind's attention. Now is when you're taking mind as your object of meditation. What does that mean? That means you're just observing mind. That's all. And you'll be able to sit for very long periods of time. This is where I encourage you to sit for 3 hours, 4 hours. And your mind is really, really peaceful. This is not Nibbana yet, but it is getting close to the state of Nibbana. So, what I'm going to show you now is what happens so that you can recognize Nibbana when it occurs. Your mind is going to all of a sudden turn off. There is going to be no perception, no feeling, no consciousness. It's just like somebody flips a switch. Nothing. For a period of time. And then, when it comes, the perception, feeling, and consciousness come back, you will feel a very strong feeling of relief. And right after that, if your mindfulness is really sharp, you will see a rising and passing away of the little tiny links of dependent origination. And then joy comes up, very strong. That is the experience of becoming a Sotapanna. The Buddha described this state as letting go of an ocean of suffering. When you become a Sotapanna, you will not be reborn less than a human being. You won't be reborn in the animal realms or ghost realms or hell realms. The lowest rebirth that you're going to have is as a human being. When you're a Sotapanna, that means you have 7 more lifetimes that will occur before you become, or before you get off of the wheel of samsara. So it's quite a nice experience. Now the thing is, when you get to this state, and I will congratulate you, everything is going along good, now go back and sit. And I will tell you to sit for 3 or 4 hours. Now, every time you sit for a long period of time, you need to get a lot of exercise. I mean, get your blood really moving. It's very necessary. So what you need to do is be running up and down the stairs or up and down the hill, whatever, so that your heart is beating quite a bit faster and you're breathing quite good. Get more oxygen in your system. Now, what happens is, again, you can get into this very peaceful, calm state, and then the cessation of perception, feeling, and consciousness happens again. And that is called, the first time it happens, that's called path knowledge. The second time it happens, it's called fruition knowledge. The fruition knowledge really gets everything set very nicely. So you start to have real changes of personality. It starts to happen. Your perspective of things starts to change. You start to see things a lot more clearly. Not only in your mind, but you're going to be able to see more clearly. The colors tend to change a little bit and become brighter and more vivid. And your change in perspective, you won't want to break any precepts purposefully. If you do, you feel really, really guilty. And if you do break a precept, then you have to come to the teacher and confess it, or you're going to lose your attainments. So it's a very necessary thing. But you're never going to doubt whether this is the right path or not. You will know absolutely. Nobody can talk you out of this stuff works and I saw it work. You're also going to realize that rites and rituals don't lead to Nibbana. Now, this is an interesting thing because I have a lot of students in especially Indonesia, that they've been chanting for 10 years and 15 years and 20 years. And they come and they are fairly successful with the meditation, and then they say, well, can I go back to chanting? I don't care whether you go back to chanting or not, but you know that the chanting does not lead to Nibbana. So that's up to you. I don't care. I'm interested in the end results, and being able to experience Nibbana. That's what I'm mostly interested in. When you get home and you want to do your chanting, then go ahead. It's up to you. Also, you're going to truly understand that everything is part of an impersonal process. You're going to see it and truly understand. So there's a lot of real advantages of having this occur. And can that happen on this retreat? Yes. Are you going to follow the directions as they're given? Without adding anything? Without, oh, I used to do this other meditation, I want to put that with this one. No. Don't do that. Just do the meditation the way it's being taught right now. This works. I know an awful lot of other meditations that don't. Why? Because I practiced them. I went to the end of them. Didn't work. Okay, let's try something else. That's what the Buddha did. I was using him as my example. So, this particular meditation, because it has the recognition of craving and how to let go of the craving, this one is the one that does lead to Nibbana. I have done lots. I've been doing meditation for more than 40 years, which makes me feel real old. But I've been trying a lot of different kinds of meditation. And I did Sufi dancing, and I did transcendental meditation, and I did all kinds of absorption concentrations and Kasina meditations, and just all kinds of different meditation. I did a bunch of Hindu meditations. One of them, we called it the Holy Donut. It was putting your attention in the middle of it was like a donut. But none of those really led to what this meditation that I'm showing you does. This one leads to getting off of the wheel of samsara, off of this continual cycle of birth and death, and birth and death, and birth and death. This is a very natural process. It happens. You go from loving kindness to compassion to joy to equanimity to neither perception nor non-perception. You go through all of these different stages, and your mind will do it on its own. You just keep on your object of meditation. That's what your job is. Okay? There's a lot of fun that you can be having with this meditation. Stop being so serious with it. Stop trying to make it be the way you want it to be. Oh, but I've done other meditations and they work this way. Fine, they work that way, but this one doesn't. This one works this way. So it's real important that you understand not to add anything to the meditation, not to subtract anything from the meditation. This is like making bread or doing anything with food. You have a recipe that you have to follow. And if you don't follow and do what the recipe says in the order it says to do it, if you don't follow that recipe, you're not going to have the same end result that you're looking for. This is the same thing. The 6 R's are extremely important. Learning how to let go of the craving. Learning how to recognize the craving when it arises. This is the key. Now the Buddha talks a lot about the cause of suffering is craving and ignorance. And what is ignorance? Ignorance is not understanding how the Four Noble Truths actually work. Now, starting tomorrow, we're going to start getting into more and more of dependent origination. And your understanding is going to blossom quite a bit with this. So, you can look forward to that. This is how this process works. Choose America. May suffering ones be suffering free and the pure strength fearless be. May the breathing shed all grief and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, Devas and Nagas of mighty powers share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's